Last week we were reading about Tulku and when he was imprisoned in China, and how his compassion was so great and so powerful that it actually transformed the mind of the other prisoners as well as the guards. So much so that they moved him from prison to prison, and everywhere he went, the guards became kinder, the inmates became more happy and peaceful. And so everywhere they went, everywhere that they took him, they said he would ruin the jail. So at some point, they let him go. So he was an amazing example of an incredible bodhisattva. Another teacher that some of you maybe have met, Toku Sangak Rinpoche. He came to Chagdud Ling and consecrated the stupas, and he's been there. He was there for the consecration of the Rinpoche Palace. He also spent, I think, 13 years in Chinese prison. And when we asked him about it, if he was angry at the Chinese, he said, "No, I'm very grateful to the Chinese." He said, "Those 13 years, I did the strongest practice of my whole life." He said, because it was constantly necessary to do practice. Because it was cold, they were hungry, they were beaten, they were mistreated, they were tortured. And he said, nonstop, I had to be doing my practice. And he said, I had the great luck that my teacher was in the same prison as I was. And they wouldn't allow him to teach, but all day long, he would sing teachings in the form of Dharma, in the form of songs. So the guards didn't know what he was doing, but all day long he'd be singing, but he was secretly giving teachings to all the inmates. And Toko Sangak said it kept his mind correct all the time, focused and correct and thinking the right way. So these are amazing examples of highly evolved practitioners. So continuing the reading, this quality of a good heart is the essence of the Bodhisattva vow in the Buddhist tradition, the commitment to free all beings from suffering, bring about their unending happiness, and undertake spiritual methods that will enable us to do so. The foundation of all of this is the vow of bodhicitta, the compassionate wish to attain enlightenment in order to bring all beings to that same state. In essence, bodhicitta means that self-clinging and self-interest give way to unceasing concern for others. This week I was exchanging messages with a young man that's interested in Dharma, and he was very curious about offerings and setting an altar and rituals and tankas. And he was asking me what it all means and why we do it, and playing the drums and instruments. And I said, some people like drums and instruments. Some people like ritual and more elaborate ceremonies. And some people don't like it at all. Some people just want to sit silently and meditate. And I said, really, it doesn't matter either way, as long as you have bodhicitta. If you take bodhicitta away, it doesn't matter how many rituals you do or how many beautiful tankas you have or how long you can sit and silently gaze at a wall. None of it has any meaning if you don't have bodhicitta, and it'll never take you to enlightenment. At the same time, if you take all the accoutrements and rituals and implements away, but you still have a bodhicitta with everything that you do, you at some point will attain enlightenment. Maybe not as swiftly as using all the skillful means and methods and rituals and implements, but you will still attain enlightenment. So bodhicitta is the key to everything. Everything we do, bodhicitta is the key. In essence, bodhicitta means that self-clinging and self-interest give way to an unceasing concern for others. Someone who has given rise to bodhicitta, even for an instant, is no longer an ordinary being. Rather, he or she delights and becomes a child of the Buddhas. For there is no greater service we can render or offering we can make to enlightened beings than bodhicitta. The ideal motivation, then, for receiving these teachings and putting them into practice is to fully reveal our true nature so that we may be of limitless benefit to others. Such motivation is selfless, pure, and exalted. The more we incorporate it into everything we do, the greater the scope and power of our actions. In Tibet, they have a saying, "The dancer must follow the beat of the drum." Upholding pure motivation in our lives lends beauty, power, and inspiration to the dance and ensures true and lasting benefit. The Bodhisattva Peace Training offers extensive tools for doing exactly this. It is meant to serve as a mirror with which to examine ourselves, our motivation, impulses, and conduct, not as a window through which we might judge others. We need to assess and transform ourselves so that we come to recognize our true nature and perfect its expression in our thoughts, words, and actions. This training is not based on blind faith, nor can it succeed unless we have a deep understanding of its principles, something we can achieve only by thoroughly contemplating the teachings. So, feel free to ask questions. That is your job. It is the teacher's job to try to answer them and make the teachings accessible, fully applicable to you and your life.